165 Extreme round nose here in the new ARV.
Well, hey Pete, my friend, how you doing? Thank you so much for joining me in the Elfster's reloading room with your ARV.
Nice to be here, Todd. Thank you.
I appreciate you joining us. And I got a couple, I actually cut more than a couple, like 6 loaded questions. You ready?
Lay 'em on me, man.
So the first question is when did you purchase the ARV builder's kit? How long did it take to get to your FFL? And how much did you pay for it?
I don't know the exact date, but I want to say I probably picked it up about 2 weeks ago. You know, I'm a ardent supporter of Elfster's rifles and reloading, so I follow all the groups on Facebook, and I saw you posted on there, and I was like, maybe I better get one of those. So I ordered it, and I was pretty surprised that I think it only took about 5 days to get to my FFL. So
it was pretty quick.
PSA was on the ball with it, so I was pretty surprised. I was actually thinking that maybe it would be a little bit later because I got Minnesota deer hunting this weekend, so I was actually planning on building it after deer hunting.
Yeah.
But it showed up early, so here we are. So yeah, about 5 days to get to my FFL. Kudos to PSA on that. Paid $4.99 for it. So
yeah, and then what? The FFL is probably what, 25, 30 something bucks.
$20, and they're right across the street here, so you gotta like that.
Oh, that's a really good deal, then.
Yep.
So out the door with tax and everything, you're probably pushing about $550 then, huh?
Yeah, it was. That sounds about right.
Okay. All right. So second question is about how long did it take to assemble and any issues with the build, and would you have done anything different now that it's built?
I gotta say, for an AR, this thing went together extremely easily. Very easy to build. The only qualms that I had with it is that I wish PSA would have included the, and I mentioned this in my other part of the videos, I wish they would have included the takedown pins.
Yeah.
The detents and the springs.
Yeah.
And also the safety in the spring and the detent and the safety, because then I wouldn't have had to have bought a lower parts kit at all for this gun.
Yeah, what you got at Farm and Fleet, right?
Yeah. Got it at Mills Fleet Farm, and it. I only used like a third of it. You know, like all the other parts, like the magazine catch and all that stuff, I didn't use them. You know, so they're all kind of extraneous. So that would be my one critique with assembling it, is it would be cool if they would include that stuff for the parts kit.
Mm-hmm.
So. But yeah, it went together really easily. I probably had it together in, I don't know, an hour and a half or something.
Yeah. And for those that are absolutely new, how much is that parts kit that you got from Farm Fleet roughly?
I think I paid $39.99 for it.
So that's not too bad.
It wasn't awful. It's not like I'm really upset about it or anything. It was more of a, I thought I had one here and I didn't. And with everything crazy going on with the election and everything, I didn't know if I'd be able to get one, and I just rolled in there and I got lucky and they had one on the shelf. So
yeah, it might not be a bad idea if like PSA maybe had an option to add to cart with the parts kit.
That'd be a really good idea.
Yeah, I think so too.
I'm sure that they have oodles of those things sitting around. So
yeah. So any other issues you could think of off the top of your head that you had in regards to assembling it?
No, it went together really easy. Like I said, I stole the SBA3 off my AKV for this because, again, with everything going on with the ATF, I didn't really want to buy another one, not knowing what their ruling on this thing was going to be. So I didn't want to invest the money in there. So I just borrowed this off my AKV for now to put this together. But no, it went together really, really easily. So
now, in regards to putting on the barrel, in terms how did you headspace it? Obviously, you use armorer's wrench, but if you can just go a little bit into detail in regards to putting on the barrel and setting the headspace.
Sure. On most of these ARs, you don't. I mean, some people are probably cringing, but you don't necessarily have to headspace. and we'll go over what just happened here again in a little bit. But so I just put the barrel on, the armorer's wrench, tightened it down. I took some of my, you know, as you can see, I'm a reloader, so I got all kinds of test cartridges and stuff. So I took a 9mm dummy round and put it in there, and it seemed to headspace correctly, so I went with it.
Yeah. So you didn't use specifically like a no go gauge type thing? Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. So no, what type of barrel do you have on there? I'm just curious.
You know, I'm not even sure. I put together an AR9 upper like 2 years ago, and then the AKV came out. So I put the upper together, and I was looking at bottom stuff, you know, getting one of the inserts or getting a Glock mag lower from PSA or what I was going to do. And then the AKV came out. So I ended up buying an AKV, and then this whole project kind of got set to the side. And I don't know what kind of barrel it is anymore.
What length is it? I'm just curious.
I measured it at about 7 inches.
7 inches.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what kind of suppressor are you rocking on there?
This is a Dead Air Ghost 45M. And so as you see it right here, it's in its short config. So this will, you know, this will shoot 45 caliber through it. It's got a 1/2x28 booster on it right now with the lock. There's a lock sleeve in there so that it doesn't move. And you can, with this suppressor, add this addition onto it, which I think this has it's got 3 more baffles in there. So you can really quiet it down, but it kind of makes it look silly on this gun. So
yeah. You ever thought about putting like a tri-lug on there? Or?
Yeah, I have. And actually, I got a kit upstairs, a Form 1 kit that I need to do the tax stamp on. And I'm probably going to do like a tri-lug with that. So it's a little shorter of a can, but it's a little fatter. So I'm probably going to do a tri-lug for that, but I just haven't got around to it. If you've ever done one of those Form 1 deals before on the ATF's page, you really got to pay attention to what you're doing or they're going to deny you. So I just haven't had a chance to do it yet.
Yeah. And then obviously the ammo that you've put through it, I mean, obviously the heavier bullets are more suppressed, but did you feel like it was, in regards to how much it was suppressed, were you pretty pleased with it or not?
Yeah, it's difficult to tell sometimes based on when you shoot and where you shoot. Excuse me. So the range that we were at this time had you could shoot 180 degrees. There was berms on all 3 sides, so that kind of tends to amplify the sound a little bit more. And there was other people around us shooting and stuff, so I had plugs in, so it was hard to tell, but it seemed like it was doing pretty well. The only complaint that I had is I got a friend that's left-handed that was shooting it, so you know when he was shooting, he was getting gassed in the face. So I don't know if the blowback was happening a touch early, and I need to play with springs and buffer weights a little bit to try to maybe get it to delay a little bit more.
Probably. So, yeah, it probably wouldn't hurt. Do you know what ounce buffer you got in there?
I don't. I'd have to weigh it. It's a Brownells one, so I got it from Brownells, so I haven't weighed it yet. But
I know the one that I got with mine, I believe, was 5.7 ounces. I'd have to go back and watch the video, but I believe it was 5.7. And this buffer weighs 5.4 ounces. But yeah, I think I'd definitely check that out with the spring and the buffer weight. That'd be interesting to see. You should let me know how much that is. I'm curious.
I'll do that. Yeah, I mean, there's obviously it's a brand new gun, both to me and to PSA. So there's some tuning to be done here for me, you know, to get it how I want it to be. So, and I'm sure that you probably noticed on the video there, the bolt catch isn't. It's really touchy. It seems like you can put it and then go. And then the bolt drops. So
no, I've actually noticed that myself too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Competitive shooters probably love that, but
yeah, but not for safety purposes, right?
No.
And I think that's a good point he's making here. And if PSA, if you guys are watching this, I really think that's an issue you guys might want to take a look at of how easy that bolt releases. Because I noticed just by collapsing the buttstock with the bolt open, that would actually let the bolt release.
Yeah, and what I and I don't know if you can even see this. The lighting in here isn't the best, but you know, like where the bolt catch is in here, you can actually see like when you set it, it actually collapses a little bit. So maybe it needs a little bit stronger of a spring in there or something. But maybe I'll take a photo of this, Todd, and you can put it in the video when you edit it. But it's just barely catching the bolt.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point because when Sean Thalaker and I were out there, when we were wrapping things up, he went and collapsed the SBA3, and he didn't slam it home, but I mean, he kind of put it home with force, but the bolt was open and it went shut on him. So
Yeah.
So
yeah, it might just need a little bit more of a spring in there or something to, to keep that bolt catch up all the way on the bolt.
Yeah. So next question here is, how many rounds do you have down the tube? What type of ammo have you used so far, and any issues with failure to feed or eject?
Okay, I'm gonna guess it's got probably about 300 rounds that we put through it the other day. I put 100 rounds of S&B 115 grain round nose. That ran 100%. I didn't have any failures at all with that. Excuse me. I tried to put about 50 rounds of your favorite Federal 147 flat nose through it, and that did not work very well in here at all. I kept getting it kept failure to feed.
Really?
It's back open. So on those ones, they were actually sticking right on the feed ramp.
Interesting.
They would stick right, like, nose right into the bottom of the feed ramp, like they weren't popping up out of the mag enough.
Yeah, and he's actually sent me some pictures. As a matter of fact, I'll splice that in for you guys right now so you can check it out.
All right, so I bought this magazine to use in my AKV for shooting it off the bench. And either it's the mag, but it really seems like it's the ammo. Todd had good luck with these 147 grain flat points, and I haven't. They keep jamming into the feed ramp.
I find that interesting because I had zero issues at all with any ammo that we've put through it so far. I've yet to try hollow points, but I have heard from other people that they're having issues with hollow points.
Yeah. So, and then I shot at least 100 rounds of these guys. These are 165 grain extreme round nose.
Oh wow!
These are the ones that you were alluding to that I like to shoot in the AKV because the longer barrel on the AKV, I can still keep these subsonic.
Yeah, and it's really quiet.
It's really quiet, so these have a lot of giggle factor in the AKV.
Oh, I bet.
Those ran 100%. I had no issues with those at all. And then I got a bunch of these from American Reloading back before COVID. And so what these are 147 grain Federal HST pulls. So these are, nice self-defense bullets. And these are what I would love to shoot through this gun, but they didn't function very well. So these ones, and again, you can patch in the picture here. Those ones were sticking in the top of the chamber, like they were actually blowing past the chamber.
Really?
And sticking against the top of it with a bullet.
Yeah, almost to the top of the receiver.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was a little disappointing, but like I said, it's a new gun. It needs some tuning.
Yeah. Do you think that might be something you could play around with regards to playing around with the headspace a little bit more, or whatnot, or maybe polishing the ramps a little?
Maybe doing some polishing would be a good idea. I don't know if I have any shims to mess with the headspace or not. I did have some at one time, but I don't know if I have any more. So the other thing with the ammo that we noticed is that I'll get out of the light here, so maybe this can be picked up. The firing pin strikes
are just really deep, aren't they?
Very deep. A couple of them, it even pierced the primer.
Really? See, I don't have that issue with mine. That's interesting.
And it wasn't just this ammo. At first I was like, oh, maybe this ammo is a little spicy.
Yeah. Maybe hold that back up with the camera, but not so close. Just bring it out just a little bit. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that is really deep. Yeah.
So like this one isn't pierced, and they weren't all like this. So maybe it's just an ammo thing, and I need to play with charge weights a little bit with this. Again, this is all ammo that I loaded for my AKV.
So you think that's pretty hot? You think maybe?
No, I think these are pretty weak actually, because I loaded them down to be subsonic in the AKV.
What type of primers are those? I'm just curious.
I think these are Winchesters.
Winchesters. That's actually what I was running on my reloads. I didn't have any issues. So that's interesting. I'd be curious to see maybe if your fire pin's a little out of spec. Maybe it's a little too long.
Yeah, and as I alluded to in my other video, I do have another, well, we won't mention the name. I do have another AR9 bolt. And so I'm curious if, maybe I'll take them both apart and look at them and say, okay, are these parts compatible?
You can say the name. What is the name of that?
It's an Odin Works.
Okay.
So I don't know if it'll pick that up or not, but
Sure.
this is a bolt that I bought when I was doing that AR9 upper, and I was really surprised comparing the two of them. They're very similar. It wouldn't surprise me at all if this bolt would drop right in the ARV and work.
You know, I noticed on my bolt that my bolts on the top weren't staked. Are yours staked? And yours?
Well, this is the Odin. That one is staked.
I noticed mine wasn't. And I'm like, I thought that was quite interesting that they weren't staked. So I don't know if that's by design. I think it's something I'm definitely gonna have to ask Chad in regards to if they're staked.
No, these aren't staked.
So I'm curious if that is by design. So that's curious. Now, being a fan of the AKV, and you have both the AKV and the ARV, how do both of them compare, and also how does your AKV so far feed and shoot ammo in comparison to your ARV?
They both have their things. Like I love the AKV. First of all, the trigger in the AKV. The AKV is heavier and with a longer barrel. You know, I love it, but I hate it in a way too because I have to specially load ammo for it for the suppressor.
Yeah.
I really wish that, you know, and I understand it's a deal with the platform, but it'd be nice if we could get a shorter barreled version that, you know, I could shoot my standard pistol ammo in and it would be subsonic, but you know, obviously that won't work. So
yeah,
that's why I built this, knowing that I could put a 4.2, you know, however long barrel on here that I wanted, and the firearm would still work. So this is a lot lighter than the AKV, and at least in my mind, the felt recoil is a little bit more.
yeah.
The AKV, it seems like you can just sit there and you can just stay on target and you can just spray the target at will. This jumped around a little more. I mean, it wasn't like shooting an AR-10 or something, or even an AR-15, but it, you know, it's got a little more felt recoil. But I don't know. I haven't weighed my AKV versus this, but it's significantly less weight here. I mean, this is a light gun.
Yeah.
So
I'm curious now what your buffer weight is. I'd be really curious about that, especially if your felt recoil. That's interesting.
Let's find out.
And I'll just splice this. I'll cut this part out until he gets it out. All right, we got this edited back, and he's got his scale up. We're just going to double check the weight of his buffer.
You can see here it's just your standard 9mm buffer that came from Brownells.
And it's like what, 6.25
ounces. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. You know, yours is 6 1/4 ounces, mine's 5.4, and this buffer weighs 5.4 ounces. You know, you said you're feeling some pretty hefty recoil there, so that might be definitely something to look into. I'm sure PSA has that bolt tuned just for that buffer too. That might be something to look into maybe.
Yeah, I bet they do. So that's good to know. So I mean, yours is almost a full ounce less than mine.
Yeah, yeah. I think that would definitely be something to look into. So especially if any of my viewers out there are getting this build kit, you might want to double check that buffer weight. Like I said, mine's 5.4 from PSA, and his is 6 1/4. So if you update that buffer, let me know, and I'll let my viewers know. So
will do.
So just to quickly go over the rest of your parts here, above and beyond the upper and lower that you got. Obviously the barrel, the handguard, but what kind of trigger did you put in there?
This is one of the LaRue MBTs. This is the curved face one.
Yeah.
I've also got some of the straight ones that I like. They're not like the best AR trigger out there, but
yeah, but they're like
light years better.
They're the best bang for your buck trigger out there, in
Absolutely.
my opinion. Yeah. Well, they're like 80 bucks.
Yeah, I think last Black Friday they even had them for, was there $69 or $79? I mean,
yeah, and they're like,
it's a
what,
no-brainer.
3.5 pound pull type thing.
Yeah, the 2-stage, which I like 2-stage triggers. So
yeah. Matter of fact, I just put a Timney trigger in mine, drop in. It's pulled right at 3 pounds. And actually, I tried my Elfman trigger, and I don't know if you've seen that or not, but it wouldn't fit. Yeah. It was too wide. This measures at, see here, 68.95. 68.95 and 68.95. On the front of this area of the lower, where that part of the trigger housing is located, 68.80
obviously it depends what angle I get this at, but 6880 and 6880. So obviously that's not going to fit. So just forewarning, if you got the PSA ARV lower, at least with my specific Elfman tactical trigger, and I don't know if there's just an issue with this specific one, but at least it did not fit in my PSA ARV. Just letting you know.
I mean, I suppose I could grind it down on the sides, but I mean, the thing is should I have to do that? You know what I'm saying?
No.
So I don't know, whatever. But anything else in regards to your build you want to touch base with in regards to parts that you use?
You know, there really isn't anything like super special about it. That's the thing that was kind of cool about it, is a lot of this stuff is just stuff that I had laying around, like the handguard. You know, I just had it laying around. It was off of that AR9 build, and I took a part off my AKV and put it together. You know, I bought a couple parts from the local store to make it work, and tossed a sling on it, and was out at the range and shooting away. And it, you know, when I fed it the round nose ammo, it ran great. It was fun to shoot.
Yeah.
My buddies enjoyed shooting it. So yeah, I think that, and obviously taking the Scorpion mags or the AKV mags.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, exactly. So if you had to take a wild guess, what do you think you got into it so far?
I don't know. I wouldn't say that I'm probably that far off of what PSA gets for it.
Yeah.
You know, so I guess I would tell your viewers, if they want one of these and they don't have a bunch of stuff laying around, just buy it from PSA.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, but if you're one of those guys, you know, that has all these parts laying around already, then, you know, you can save a few bucks and reuse some of these parts.
Yeah. Well, especially you can take pride in the fact that you built it. And especially, I know some guys, they're really anal, like setting their barrel and their barrel nut torque and making sure everything's just perfect. Yeah. Yeah. Well, cool. So the next question here is, anything you wish PSA would have done differently?
I think we already touched on the bit about the pins and stuff, you know, for the build kit.
Yeah.
So as far as that goes, no, I mean, I you know, just looking this over, this is a quality piece of gear. I mean, this isn't cheap in any way. So I think they did a good job on this.
Overall, with the upper and lower, you're pretty satisfied. Is your fitment between the upper and lower pretty tight?
It wasn't as tight as yours. You know, obviously you can't see it on the video, but you know, there's a little bit of play in there, but it's an AR.
Yeah,
I mean,
not too bad.
I'm not shooting 600 yards with this.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
It's not that bad. No, it's probably one of the better ones that I've seen. So, you know, it's not locked together, but it's pretty good. So
yeah. Now I take it that's a SIG Romeo 3. Is that a Holus on there?
That's a Romeo 5.
Romeo 5. Okay.
Yep.
That's one of my favorite, best bang for your buck red dots in the market. It's too bad they don't sell them for $89 shipped anymore.
I know. When they were, I bought 3 of them, and I had some of the Vortex. I don't remember what the Spark ARs, I think they were, which are a very similar red dot, other than they don't have shake awake. Yeah. And so once I got a taste of that shake awake,
yeah, it's hard to go back, isn't it?
It's hard to go back, yeah, because then you go up to the range and you're like, I'm gonna shoot this. Oh, that's right, I gotta hold the button down and turn it on. You know, where these you just pick the gun up and it's ready to go.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
You know, especially something that you're gonna use for self-defense.
100%. Yeah, I
absolutely
100% agree. So, very last question here before we wrap this up. What are your 3 most favorite features on the ARV?
Favorite feature number 1, Scorpion mags,
big time.
AKV mags. You know, that's pretty awesome. Feature number 2, I think the fact how compatible it is with other AR-15 stuff.
Yeah.
You know, people have been building AR-9s for a long time, so the fact that you can put all that stuff in this gun,
yeah,
that's kind of cool. Or most of it, you know, maybe not magazine stuff, but the fact that it looks to me like you can run the bolts, and you could probably even run a different upper on this lower, I bet.
Yeah.
I don't know that for sure, but I'm going to find out. So
I'm pretty sure they said the upper and lower is proprietary with the bolt.
Okay.
I believe so. I could be wrong on that. Maybe Chad can
it looks to me like they are, but I'm not sitting here with a calipers measuring everything either.
Yeah.
So,
but the fact that you can use some of your AR parts, like your trigger, your handguard, you had the barrel laying around, what the heck, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, I guess I don't necessarily have a third. That's, you know, just the fact that it's generally an AR-15. I mean, that's what I like about it.
Yeah.
I like AR-15. So I guess I don't really necessarily have a third favorite thing about it, but the lightweight of it is very nice too, which, you know, and then with all ARs, the compatibility that you can have to build it how you want. You know, you can build it like Chad's with a 16-inch barrel,
Yep.
you know, and a rifle stock if you want, you know, or you can build it with a pistol brace and a little stubby barrel, or, you know, whatever you want to do. Just what do they call the AR-15 Barbie dolls for men?
Yeah. That's awesome. So one last question here. You are obviously in the PSA closed groups. Are you in all of them, or just they have the PSA AR-15 group, the AKV group, they have the AK group. They also have the Dagger group. So some of my viewers, if you're out there watching and you're not part of those PSA groups, it really is the best way to get the most amount of information in regards to just not only the ARV, but in general, most PSA firearms, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm in the AR-15 group and the AKV group.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know there was a Dagger group, so I'll have to jump into that one.
Yeah.
I suppose the AK group would be a good one too, because with the AKV. So
yeah. Yeah. Well, hey, before we wrap this up, is there anything else you want to mention before we head out?
not in particular. Just thanks for having me on, Todd.
You bet, man. You know what? You know what I really like about Facebook is you get to meet amazing people like Pete here, and we've kind of developed a pretty good friendship here over Facebook. And you know, I actually have some questions, especially when it comes to building stuff, and he's kind of my go-to guy. And I really appreciate your help, my friend.
Yeah, anytime, Todd. You need to get together and meet in person and sling some lead down range here.
Heck yeah, I got to cross that state border, don't I? All right. Well, that sounds good. Thank you so much for joining me in the Elfster's Reloading Room, and I will see you guys in the next video.
First of all, you get, you know, your 35 round PSA magazine, Scorpion. So you can see that locks in there nice. Get your lower receiver, and you can see here that it's got the AKV style. If any of you guys have AKVs out there, you see it's got this style bolt catch here, and I just dropped the bolt on my finger. So if you got an AKV, the bolt release, it's going to be very similar. That's nice. The other things I noticed about this is it's got the paddle style mag release here. That'll take a little getting used to, as I'm used to standard AR style over here on this side, but yeah, I'll get used to it. Otherwise, it looks pretty standard for an AR lower. Flared mag well, that's a nice touch. Everything else looks pretty standard to me. The finish is nice. Don't have any complaints there. So it also comes with the bolt, 9mm specific bolt, and you can see there it's got a nice ARV graphic on the bolt. And from what I can tell about this is that this is a standard 9mm AR bolt. I have another brand bolt here, and you can see here's the Palmetto one, and here's the other branded bolt, and they're both very, very similar. All right, and also here's the upper receiver. Upper receiver looks pretty nice, slick-sided, no forward assist. Everything else looks pretty normal about it. Hence why I think that most of this stuff would work with any 9mm AR upper. Starting here with the lower receiver, one critique that I would have for PSA is it would be really nice if you could include with the kit a set of takedown pins with the detents, and also a safety lever with the detent. And the reason I say that is it would save anybody building one of these essentials kits from having to buy something like this, which luckily my local Fleet Farm store carries some of this stuff, so I was able to find an AR lower parts kit that has the detent or the detents and the takedown pins that I need to finish this firearm up. But as you guys know, there's a lot of stuff in here that I won't need. Bolt catch, magazine release, that kind of stuff. It'd be a nice touch PSA to throw this stuff in with this essentials kit. I have this left over from another project I know Todd is playing around with another brand of trigger. I really like these LaRue triggers. They're great triggers for the money. You know, they may not be the best, but when you can get them on sale for $79 to $89, sometimes $99, it's a good buy. You know, and they make them with the bowed trigger face or else also the straight trigger face. I kind of like these Magpul MOE grips, or the ones that I actually really like the most are the LaRue grips. They got kind of a molded feel to them. But local store had this, so I picked this up for this build. Pistol brace of some sort. Actually, I took this off my AKV. 9mm buffer. Sorry, it's a little bit of glare in here, but this is a Brownells 9mm heavy buffer that I've had for a while, and a spring. I think this is just a standard carbine spring with a heavy buffer. Obviously, you got your 9mm bolt here. Gonna need a charging handle. I had this one laying around. It's a Bravo company, a barrel. I don't know what brand this barrel is. I've owned it for several years now. I bought it for an AR9 build that I was gonna do. One of the reasons that I bought this, and I think I'm gonna enjoy this firearm a little more than my AKV, is because in my AKV I have a hard time keeping standard 9mm bullets subsonic. And that's a big deal to me because I like to shoot suppressed. So I shoot suppressed a lot. The one negative about this barrel, and I will say the same thing about the ARV, I'm not really sure why PSA did this, but it's threaded in 1/2x36. And PSA did the same thing with their ARV barrels. They're threaded in 1/2x36, whereas the AKV is threaded in 1/2x28. Mounts that I have for my suppressors are 1/2x28. So you got to do one of these wonky deals then. You got to do an adapter, you know, and that adds another inch onto your barrel. Lengthwise, you know, it's not ideal. I wish PSA would have threaded their barrels in 1/2x28, or at least had it as an option.